Hello everyone! Today I will be talking about my biggest fear and how it all started. I'll begin saying it all started when I took my first trip. This was my first time on a plane. The plane is not the scariest part. It was my first time on a plane and I went to Hawaii. It's my first time I've ever actually really traveled. It was in about the 8th grade, going into freshman year. I was okay with it. The plane wasn't freaking me out. I was okay with the plane ride. I was at first afraid to be on the plane because it was my first time, but it turns out that wasn't my biggest fear, surprisingly. What I always wanted to do is swim with turtles just because they're my favorite animals. One of my favorite animals, so it's an exciting thing to do, swim with turtles. So I was really excited when we were going to the trip there. As I was saying, the first thing I wanted to do was go to the ocean, and I wanted to at least paddleboard or surf. The second day we were there, we ended up paddleboarding, and I figured I just didn't like the feeling of my feet hanging off of the surfboard. I think that freaked me out the most. That was like my biggest fear. I feel like that's what made me figure out what was my biggest fear. I never really thought about it until now. It's just the feeling of your feet hanging and you don't know what's in the bottom of you. It just freaks me out. Like, there's so many things under, and as I was paddleboarding, I made sure to be up the entire time just because of the fear of my feet hanging. There's so much thing in the ocean, and it's like, imagine I was in a big ocean. You're just so little and there's so many things, and the ocean's huge, and you look at one side, it's all blue. You look at the other side, it's all blue, and it just goes on and on for miles. You don't even understand. On for miles. And when I did that in the big blue sea, it was huge. I went in the middle of nowhere. We all took a boat to the middle of nowhere because we wanted to swim with turtles. So we were swimming with turtles, and as I was like jumped off into the water, my biggest fear, everyone always says it's the ocean. I'm okay with swimming in the ocean. I'm okay with the waves in the little area, but I'll still be afraid of it. The ocean is just so scary. But I realized when I was paddleboarding, I just didn't like my feet hanging off of it. It's so scary. I feel like I have the feeling of like a shark's gonna bite me, or like a stingray, like one of those sprays are gonna sting me. It's just so scary. And as the question of now is, how would you feel if that happened now? I think I would want to get over my fear. So I think I would paddleboard again. So I actually kayaked last year in San Diego, and it was in the middle of like the ocean where all the boats are at and stuff. And I was on with my godfather, and we happened to flip, and luckily I didn't flip. I would have like freaked out. I'm like shaking right now thinking about it, just because I want to get over my fear. I want to swim with sharks, but my fear, I would say, is the ocean and the feeling of having my feet hanging and you're not knowing what it is. Just their hanging doesn't go right with me. I don't think I would feel nervous. I'm feeling nervous right now thinking about my feet hanging. So yeah, I think that's how I would feel if it happened now, and how I overcome it. I would calm myself. If I happen to be in that situation right now, I would learn to calm myself and I would try to get over my fear, but it won't happen. Everyone says their fear is heights, but luckily mine is not heights. I love rides and all that stuff. I want to skydive, but my biggest fear is the ocean and my feet hanging. Thank you.